Hey there friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping in today. I'm back with a new layout for Hip Kit Club and I'm using the 2020 September kits. And this layout is for Cut File Tuesday. And I thought I'd try something a little different today. I went ahead and cut my cut file on pattern paper. This is one of the Heidi Swap papers. I think this one comes in the paper kit, but it's a really pretty pattern with all kinds of pinks and yellows and blues. And I used the floral cut file, but I duplicated it, so I had two of the cut files, and then I kind of turned one another direction and then welded them together. So I kind of have two floral clusters here, but it's going to be one big cut file kind of welded together. So you can kind of see what I'm talking about there. And this looks very busy and very colorful, but I wanted to use it as part of my background. So I think I'm going to use this white thick smooth cardstock as my background, and then I'm going to use this colorful cut file as a big background design element. And since it's so intricate and detailed, I'm going to use a sheet of little sticky dots to add some adhesive to the background. And I love these adhesive sheets. They're just full of little teeny tiny sticky dots, and they're perfect for cut files like this because it would take forever to add glue to the back of this. I get these sheets from ThermoWeb, and I'll link those down below if you're interested in getting those, but you just stick it down to the paper and kind of smooth over it, and then when you peel it off, the back of the cut file is sticky. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to go ahead and stick this down before I do anything else because I want this to be basically just something on the background. So I'm going to gesso over it. I'm going to do a little bit of mixed media over it. There were a couple little bits and pieces on the edges that did not get stuck down, so I'm going to make sure that those are down. And then I'm going to just trim off the edges that are sticking off the page there. And I think this is something fun to do if you have a busy pattern paper like this one, you're not quite sure how to use it. Sometimes I struggle with really busy papers because I really don't know how to use them. I don't want to use too much of it because it can be, you know, overly busy. But something like this, I think, kind of takes away some of the busy factor. I mean, there's a lot of color going on, but I can, you know, do some mixed media over it. I'm going to kind of fade out a little bit of the color and pattern here with some white gesso, so it kind of mutes some of the colors a little bit. And I feel like since the rest of the paper is white, it kind of balances out the busyness of this pattern. And to smudge this gesso over the cut file, I'm using a little foam brush there because there's a lot of texture going on here and a lot of little nooks and crannies. Since this is such a detailed cut file, I want to make sure that I get the gesso where I want it. So I'm going to use white gesso to do that part. And accidentally pulled a little piece off there, so I'm going to glue that back down. And then for the bottom half of the layout, I'm going to use clear gesso because I find oftentimes when I use the white Liquitex gesso on top of white cardstock, it kind of looks more on the yellow side because it's not the same white as the paper. So the clear tends to work a little bit better. So yeah, anyway, there's my photo. I'm going to put it right there, kind of in between the two flower clusters. I felt like that was the perfect spot for that, and you can still see a lot of the flowers. And I like that this photo has a lot of neutral colors in it. It's got a lot of skin tones, a lot of navy blue, and then my daughter's shirt is black. And so I printed this in color because I felt like it was going to contrast nicely with a lot of the colors in the kits. A lot of the florals are the perfect color for this type of photo. It's kind of what I would call a neutral photo. And so I was in the mood to use a lot of the flowers. So I started with that crepe paper chipboard sheet, and I peeled off the sticky part so I could move all the chipboard pieces around. And then I'm going to go into the crepe paper sticker sheet here and pull off more flowers in a variety of colors. And I'm going to stick them to some white cardstock there that is from my little scrap pile. and then I'm going to cut these out. Again, I'm just making them into die cuts so I can move them around because I'm nowhere near ready to stick them down yet. And once I do mixed media on the background, that means my background's not going to be white anymore, and I want these stickers to remain their true color. And so by sticking them to white paper first, they're going to stay that color, and you won't be able to see the background through them. All right, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do on the background yet, so I'm going to go ahead and work on the layers behind the photo. I'm going to start with a little bit of white tissue paper there, just to give it a little bit of a messy, subtle border. And then I'm going to use a couple of pocket life cards to layer behind. And I think that I wind up using kind of a rainbow variety of the flowers. I've got some pinks, some yellows, some oranges. And so I'm going to just start there. And if you got the color kit this month, then you know we get 3 new colors of the Lindy's Gang Magical Powders. And this first color that I'm using here is called Clam Bake Beige. It's a really pretty shimmery golden yellow color with a couple of surprise powders mixed in. And now I'm going with blue. This is going to look like a hot mess. Warning, warning, don't be alarmed. You know I'm famous for making hot messes, so just bear with me here. I'll tell you what I'm thinking. This blue color is called Whale Watch Blue, and it's kind of what I would call a denim blue. So what I was thinking was I would do this darker navy denim blue color kind of underneath the photo, and then that golden yellow color above the photo. I'm going to spray in a little bit of the Shimmer's Deep Blue Sea. We got that in a color kit a long time ago, but it's the perfect navy blue to kind of mix and match with this Lindy's blue. And since I added the gesso first, I'm able to add water, and the colors are going to kind of run and blend and spread around pretty easily. They're not going to just soak right through the paper. I'm going to use my finger here quite a lot because on top of this cut file, you know, there's a lot of nooks and crannies. So whenever I go to blend the colors, you know, it's going to run in between all of those little places. So I want to try to spread it around a little bit more. I'm going to use a napkin to dab some of it up. I'm going to just turn the paper different directions to kind of allow the color to kind of run. And I took more time off camera to just add more and more layers of those colors. And I'm not done with the background, but this is what it looks like so far. In my experience working with the Lindy's on top of gesso, the colors tend to dry significantly lighter, and so I have to add several layers to do that. But you know, I love using gesso because I like the blended look. I like the effects that gesso creates when you use spray inks and powders and things. So I definitely want to use gesso because I love the effects it creates. So what I was thinking was to kind of layer in these flowers kind of in an upside down triangle pattern at this point. Kind of the shape of the blue kind of comes into a little point at the bottom, and so I thought that the flowers kind of clustered underneath the photo would look pretty on top of that blue in that same type of shape. I've also pulled out some of the chipboard circles from Pink Fresh Studio Days of Splendor, colors that matched and little phrases that went with my theme. So I'm going to use a couple of those. I found another pocket life card in an orangey peachy color that I wanted to add in there, so that's what that was. Now here's where I decided to change a little bit up on the yellow section. I decided to add in the third the third powder, and this one's called Ramblin' Rose Pink. Really, really pretty. And when I mix it with this yellow color, obviously it's going to look a little bit on the orange side. And that's okay because some of the flowers that I'm going to use are that orangey melon peachy color. So I thought, well, let's add in some of this color and see what you can come up with. And it's very bold. You can see there, it's definitely a bold color. And that's what I really like about these magical powders is the bold colors. But, you know, I've learned over trial and error, when I do use them on top of gesso, they tend to dry a lot lighter. So I have to use, you know, a couple of layers depending on the color that I want to achieve. So here's what I decided to do after taking a break I came back and I decided I want to add in a little bit of lighter pink. So I went through our old stash of Lindy's that we've gotten over the last, 18 months, I guess, and picked out a light pink spray. What's that color? Hold that thought. I will tell you. That color is called Cotton Candy Pink. I should know that. I've used this one so much. But it's a Lindy's Starburst spray, and I'm just going to spray it right onto the sides there. And look how shimmery it is. It's very shimmery. Love that. So, so pretty. Now, this looks like a big hot mess, I know. But once I put everything back on top of it, it's going to improve greatly. I'm also going to use the Pink Fresh Studio Tiles stamp. I think that one's called Tiles. I can't remember the name of it. I'll look it up and let you know. But it's in the stamp kit this month. And I just pulled a gold ink pad from my stash to create a little bit of subtle pattern here at the bottom. This is not something that's going to be, you know, something that's so bold that's going to take away from everything else. It's just something subtle to add to the background. I think it adds a little bit of texture, and it's going to add a little bit of gold, which I like. And I'm going to be adding some more gold things later because there are some gold things in the kits, and fall colors and fall layouts just sort of call for gold, I think. You know, it's just that color that kind of brings everything together. And I really like how this is looking now that things are coming back onto the page. You know, I know a lot of people say, oh, my background was awful, it turned out terrible, I didn't like it. And I always say, it always looks like a hot mess until you start adding things back on top of it, because you can see the difference that it makes when you start adding in your photo and your embellishments. You know, it just kind of brings everything together. And with mixed media, you know, without all this stuff on top of it, it looked like I did way too much. But when you start to add everything back on top of it, and you can only see it kind of peeking around the edges and around the top and the bottom, it looks like I really didn't do that much on the background. It's kind of like an optical illusion. So I just say keep working at it until you get it like you like it, you know. All I'm doing here is adding in some thread. I added some light blue, I added some pink, and I added some yellow down at the bottom. And I don't want to remove anything else at this point because I'll never get it back like I have it. So I'm going to start to glue things down right where they are very carefully, starting with the photo. And I did pop the photo up. I added some adhesive foam behind that. And yeah, I'm just going to very carefully start to glue down everything. Because remember, I did pull off the stickiness of all those big chipboard flowers so I could move them around. But even if they still had the sticky on the back, I would still add glue because nothing likes to stick to gesso. I'm going to add a couple of pieces of adhesive foam behind some of these flowers down at the bottom. Since the chipboard is pretty dimensional by itself, I want to make sure that the flat things are also at the same level. So I'm going to pop those up and glue those down. And I'm using Scotch tacky glue. I've been getting that question a lot, and I try to remember to say that in every video, but sometimes I forget. So Scotch tacky glue in the fine liner bottle there. It doesn't come in that bottle. The bottle comes separate and it comes empty, but that's the glue that I've always used in it, and it works great. Try to work in this little die cut here from Pink Fresh Studio that says Smile Often. Not sure where it's going to go. I do want to use some more of these shiny gold puffy thickers. I think I've used some of those on every layout. I love them. They're so soft and puffy and the perfect gold. They're shiny but not too shiny. So I'm going to kind of cut some of the leaves off of some of the floral clusters to tuck in just the leaves, because I feel like I've got enough flowers going on between the die cut at the top, or the cut file, and then all the smaller flowers. So I'm just going to tuck in a couple of leaves in a couple spots. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my title. I want to do a small title down here, and I wanted to use the You and Me. So that is going to go right there, I think. I like how that looks. But I wanted to do kind of a title on top of the photo, a little bit on top of the photo, a little bit of a layer. kind of like that. So I went with today because I like the angle of it. It's kind of going uphill, and I wanted to layer it slightly over the bottom part of the page. And I didn't want to layer too much more on top of the photo because I feel like with the title and then that navy blue circle sticker on the right, that's plenty. So I went with putting the Smile Often piece above the photo, and then I'm going to come in with the Pink Fresh Studio Mini Alphas, and I'm going to add the word always. I was trying to think of a word that fit all of the light blue colors, and always seemed to work because I didn't want to use a bunch of colors in this word. I just wanted to use the light blue. So I'm going to go with always, and I have that right under you and me. And then I had this little camera, decided to add that to the top, and that came from that sticker book right there. And I did add some of the white cardstock behind it, and then I cut it out like I do pretty much on all of these colored clear stickers, except for these two little ones right here, because they're going to have white behind them. If they're going to have white behind them, then you don't need to add anything behind it. But if you're going to stick those clear stickers on top of something colored, it will change the color of that sticker because you can see through it. Almost done here. I'm finishing up with some splatters. I'm going to add in some blue, some pink, and then I'm going to come in with gold. That is the Jen Hadfield gold glitter spray that we got, I think, in last November's. I think it was the Christmas kit from last year, and I love that stuff. Last thing I'm going to do is use my T-square ruler there to add some lines for journaling, and then I'm going to use my gold metallic pen. And I added the date off camera, but that's the final layout. I really like how this turned out. I like that I tried something different with the cut file and cut it on pattern paper, you know, and since I did that, I felt like I didn't have to back it with anything, and I just wanted to use it as a background element. And so that was fun, something different to do. You could do that with any pattern paper or even colored cardstock would be fun. But I hope that this inspired you in some way to, you know, use your 2020 September kits. I took a lot of close-ups. I can't help it. I get carried away when I'm taking close-ups. I just want to get every angle. There you can see the detail from that Pink Fresh Studios stamp that I added in there for some subtle detail. But let me know if you have any questions, and keep on sharing your projects. I did stitch through the word always there so it would stay put. Yeah, I think I took 100 close-ups. We're still not done. Anyway, I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful week.